Hello everyone, this is Clinton from The Lamest Defenders, and I'm here today to talk to you about Iron Man VR for the PlayStation VR. After multiple delays, Iron Man VR is finally here. Does it soar to new heights, or should it go to the scrap pile? Let's find out. We'll start with the positives because there are a lot of them. Immersion is a word that gets thrown around a lot with video games, usually because the character you control reacts the way they normally would in their given situation. Think of Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. Where Iron Man VR excels in the immersion factor is when the heads-up display initializes and Friday starts the mission briefing. Every time it gave me a rush and I couldn't wait to start flying around the level. I'm not embarrassed to admit that when I took a particular hard hit in the game, I would 99% of the time respond with,
"My turn,"
and release a barrage of attacks on the drone or tank that hit me. And what an arsenal of attacks you will have at your disposal. The repulsor blast is your standard weapon in the game, but you will be able to augment your attacks as well, including, but not limited to, smart missiles that track your target, and a chain gun that can deal massive damage at close range. Those and some of the purely cosmetic changes are just a few of the options that Tony can put into the suit, and the game offers multiple combinations that allow the player to find just the right mix. In addition to firing repulsor blasts and smart missiles, Iron Man has a couple of melee attacks. One is a rocket punch that propels the player forward and is incredibly effective at close range, with ground pound being the other. While Iron Man is airborne, he is able to look down at the ground and charge a rocket punch, while using his visor to target any tanks and lift them into the air and deal massive damage. It's as fun as it sounds, which is a lot. Some reviewers have stated that the game is too long for what it is, and I respectfully disagree. I felt the length was fine. It could have used more variety of the enemies, but we'll talk about that later. There are multiple bosses in the game that keep the story moving and interesting, and the banter between Tony and the AIs is a real treat. There's a particular mission that has Tony jetting off to Shanghai to inspect a break-in in his office. What makes this level work so well is that there is a horror aspect to it, and the developers did a fantastic job of setting and keeping the ambiance in the room for the entirety of that particular sequence. There's another level similar to this one near the end of the game, which I won't spoil, but another heavy story-driven level or two would have been appreciated. While the story isn't as elaborate as Chinatown, it will keep you invested until the end. Ghost is a space-bending, spazzy specter who has a surprising amount of backstory in the game that really builds her motivation. A huge testament to the quality of the game is that it's one I can see myself playing through again. The game's music was a very welcome surprise. The theme from the main menu can be a real earworm, and there are some surprisingly catchy techno tracks that made me pause and listen for a while. The voice acting in the game is top-notch as well, and while the cast isn't particularly large, the actors bring it and seem to really enjoy themselves. Tony's interaction with Nick Fury is a particular highlight of mine. Now for some things that I didn't care for. Besides the multiple bosses in the game, I grew fairly tired of the drones by the halfway point. And even though there were multiple variations of them, and they each had different strengths and weaknesses, I had a difficulty telling some of them apart when the screen was flooded with them in the later stages, and I would resort to just blindly firing and dodging. No real advanced strategies needed until the drone with the shield popped up, and you would wait for it to charge up its firing solution, then accelerate out of the way and to avoid any damage. Between missions, Tony always goes back to Malibu to allow the player to spend research points. Shoot some hoops, do some pull-ups, eat a sandwich, check in with Friday, eat a grape, answer the phone, listen to a podcast, use the juicer. Needless to say, there's a lot you can do in your garage, which is fine. I just don't want to be forced to come back to the garage after every level. I would have appreciated either the option to go back or upgrade my suit in a simple menu before the level started, mainly because of the loading screens. After a mission, there's a loading screen to take you back to Malibu. After Malibu, there's a loading screen to take you to the mission. And sometimes the story elements in Malibu will cause you to have yet another loading screen. If the loading times were faster, this wouldn't be an issue, but we're talking upwards of 30 plus seconds at a time, and it simply breaks any momentum that you had. For $40, you'll be getting a 6 to 8 hour experience depending on difficulty and any of the optional flight or combat challenges that accompany most levels. There's also a free fly option on some of the levels that let you simply explore the level at your own pace, which is something I definitely appreciate as there are nice little touches scattered throughout each level showing Camouflage's commitment to Iron Man lore. PlayStation VR has been out for almost 4 years now, and it never had that killer app that could become a showcase title for PlayStation VR. Iron Man VR is as close as it will get. The game isn't reason enough to purchase a VR headset, but if you already own a headset, Iron Man is a must-buy. And if you're an Iron Man fan, why are you still watching this? Go buy it. It's as close to actually being Iron Man as you can get. My final score for Iron Man VR is a 7.5 out of 10. It's a solid game that'll have you saying by the end of it,
I am Iron Man.
Please be sure to hit like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts about the game in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. Stay lame.